And here we go again. Me sharing another story. Today I want to talk about the market. When I grew up, I used to be, I used to sell fruits and vegetables with my mom in the market. Very, very interesting life. I saw a lot of interesting things during that time. It was back in the days. Back in the days. When I say back in the days, what do I mean? Let me see. I think it's about like the early 2000s. Yo, guys, I'm getting old. I am old. I am old. Anyway, there was a lot of things that I saw during that time. Experienced a lot of shit. I'm not gonna lie. I think I've said it so many times. Was never a fan of actually having to wake up every day at 4 a.m. and would holler at the taxi. It felt like I wasn't getting enough sleep as a child to be going to work. It's like basically I was working to feed myself. But as much as I'm complaining, I love the lessons that I learned. I learned quite a lot. And then I think having to work there at the market, especially with having to, give a little bit of change back, trying to calculate. In my mind, I think it helped me out with my math genius mind because I was always around numbers. Yeah, so yeah, I would wake up every day in the morning. Basically, my weekends were non-existent. My summer holidays or any type of holidays that other kids were used to be enjoying their lives, non-existent. Because I had to be at the market. But the market was full of great, gorgeous moments, events, and actions. I mean, I saw a lot. One thing that I usually, or I used to see, because our table used to be across the guys that cut hair, and there was just this interesting fella across where the people had tents. Because, I mean, we all know, the guys who cut hair, they're usually like foreign guys. In the essay, they look foreign guys, people from Malawi, up there, all the other countries in the north. So, but in the market across our table, although we're like a bunch of guys who were like foreign, there was just this one guy in the middle of them. Kwangcobo. When I tell you about a character, that guy was a character. He would wear a cap or one of those old people hats, brown or black. That man knew style. He knew style. And, he would come and he had swag and he had personality. And I think that's how he used to compete with the other guys who were there. Because you know what? The people were always a fan of going to the foreign guys to get haircuts. But my gosh, the way that man used to be able to have that personality, it drawed you. It drew you in to come and actually shave your head in his tent. And because he created that culture of competition between himself and the other guys were meeting him halfway. And they started having this lovely relationships or relationship between each other. And it was beautiful to watch. That guy basically stamped his life amongst those gents, even though he was the only Zulu guy who was there and he was the only tent that was actually, I don't know, just, not foreign. But I enjoy seeing that guy and how he worked and how he tried to create conversation with not just only the people who were passing by, but also the guys who were there creating competition with him. But that's just one of the aspects of many things that I saw when I was at the market. And another thing that I used to experience, of course, is ubabagati spoon. I know but that's what the guy called himself. He was a magician. I mean, that was a wonderful magician to see. I don't know what. I'm not sure if I believe in magic, but in that state, in that mind of that child, the way I was absorbed in what that guy was doing, I think I'm sure even now I still have a sense of belief in magic because I watch magic tricks and they're very fascinating. But the things we saw that guy do were quite amazing. Um, I, I remember he had this one trick. I mean, he had two tricks that I want to talk about. But he had this one trick. It was only one of his favorite tricks to close his show. But he had a whistle that he used to do. I don't know how to do that whistle he used to do. No? But he had an interesting way of saying that whistle. How he would do it for a box, you take a box, put some paper in it, you know, like he would show us first, of course, you know how magic people are, you know, magicians. He would show us how the box is empty, nothing is in the box. We put our hand in the box, nothing is in the box. And then he would take a paper and then he'll put it in a box and then he would light it up. And then, you know, the paper would burn, becoming ash, but then before it actually like finished burning, he would close it. And then he would start doing his whistle. Walking around, doing his whistle. I was there as a child watching this man. I'm like, oh my God. I don't know how many times he did that trick, but I can tell you he did it so many times. But every time I was always just fascinated about how he does it because I was trying to solve it in my head. And then after he had finished, he would open this thing up and tube, pigeon will come out. And then the pigeon would fly and then it would like sit on top of the library because we were by the library, like where our stand was, the illegal one. But we were by the library and then we were all just be watching the pigeon. And again, yeah, but maybe go shame. And then he will do his whistle again. And then the pigeon will come back. And then it would land. Ah, magicians, fuck up with your mind. The pigeon would land, and then it would go back to the box, and then it would go, and then you open the box, and the pigeon is gone. I'm like, fuck, how do you do that? How the fuck do you make a pigeon disappear and appear at the same time? So yeah, Babagati spoon. But one thing that he used to do was, because you know what, like, there's no like you entrance ticket. He's just in the market. He would just start his act and people would just magically gather because everybody's curious. They want to know what's happening. How can you do this? And then everybody will gather to watch his show. But you would pay what you have. But he will always be saying, please do pay. Don't just watch the show without even having paid even like R1. Pay something. Because if you don't pay, and this was his second trick. Because if you don't pay, I think I was so scared of this trick that I always would steal like 50 cents from my mom's, you know, and then I would toss it so he doesn't do it to me. But he would say that if you don't pay, he's going to steal your underwear. People like, lies, I'm hungry. You know, you never believe it. You never believe it until that nigga did that shit. Guys, I still believe maybe he had people who were part of his gang. I don't know. But he would actually... I don't know how he did it, but he would go to his bag after, of course, he shows us that there's nothing in the bag, and he would tell people, pay, otherwise I'm about to steal your underwear if you haven't paid. Nobody would say anything until the man would pull out someone's underwear. And then he held it with a stick, and then he'll be going like, whose underwear is this? Walking around, and of course I don't know if anybody ever came out. I think some people did come out like because I remember one lady, she had like, was it pink or yellow? But she had long underwear because he stole her underwear and then he showed it and then she was like, "Hi, Bo!" And then, of course, everybody turned and then we saw her and then I think she felt like her underwear was gone. Hence why I'm thinking maybe it might have been a trick because it was always women whose underwear were stolen. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, that man had beautiful tricks. It was fascinating to watch. So that was one of my experiences in the market. Another one, which is interesting, that I was involved in. I mean, this is all leading to just one story that I'm going to, which is about the experience of where we were in the market, me and my mom. But there was a lady. my mom's friend, my mom's friend, who had a daughter, which I'm coming for later. But she had a daughter, but it was my mom's friend. Now, one thing about her, she was pretty hot. I know. I was a child. But for some reason, I believed that she was pretty hot. So hot in a sense that as a child, I would actually be blushing around her. Can you imagine? Here she is coming to talk to my mom and I can't even look her in the eyes. I keep doing this. Like, it's like I knew what I was thinking in my head. And and then she would laugh at me all the time because I think she could see, my reaction towards her and all that stuff. But here's the thing, here's the nail on the coffin. Her and my mom were trying to hook me up with the daughter, who was also very pretty. But the problem is, I didn't want her. I wanted her mother. And my mom would always be confused because all the time I would always be asking questions about the mother and not the daughter. And my mom would always be confused. I think she was so confused that actually she kind of figured it out. And then she went to tell her, the mother, and then they come and they were actually interrogating me about my feeling, my feelings for the mother, which is a weird thing to feel as a child. But that was I had to pay a fee. Apparently, I had to pay a fee because I don't know. There was like a thing where you can't have feelings for the mother of the daughter that they're trying to hook you up with. I don't know what they were saying. I didn't understand. I didn't care anyway. I still was gonna have a crush on her. But anyway, the story that I wanna tell today, with all that experience, of what the market is about the place that we were doing our business in. Now, the market was divided into two sections. There's a section where I think the government gives you a place where you can sell your fruits and vegetables. This was in the old days, like before there was a new rank there. It was in the old days. Places where people had tents and you could sell, people had tables and you could do your thing. Now, my mom had a piece of land given to her by the government where she could sell her fruits, because I think you had to like buy that space. She had that land. But when you cross the street, the other side, which was by the library, this is PMB by the way, Peter Marisburg. When you cross the street, this area becomes very illegal. It's illegal for you to be there and sell your stuff or to do any business in that area. So if you are there and you're caught doing business by the Maspal, which I can't remember what the alphabet for it is, but is it SPCA or something like that? But Maspal would actually take all your stuff and go lock it up. And when they lock it up, they would charge you money to unlock it. So like 300 Rand, which was a huge amount of money back in the day. But They were doing it so you actually don't get tempted to go sell on the other side because it costs so much money to get it out. So, of course, the problem was now, on this side, business very dead. People hardly walk through this side. But on that side, it was like full of business. People buy there all the time. They would walk there all the time. It was amazing how there was such a huge difference between people who buy on this side and people who don't buy, or people who buy on this side. Because, I mean, you only had to cross the street to go buy the things that you needed. But the moment we get here, we get more sales than we were here. And of course, it seems like people knew that. So the people around, including my mom, started having this idea of, you would have a trolley that you can cross the streets with and stand there in the corner and sell your stuff. People buy. And if if Umaspala comes to try and catch you, you would push a trolley and run away and cross the street. Because once you cross the street, they can't do anything to you. You just had to cross the street and then it's legal again. But you cross the street to the other side, it's illegal. Fucked up shit. But anyway, that was the thing about that business. Now, my mom was a master in it. I don't know how she would do it. It's almost like she could smell Maspala when it was around. She would smell it, and then, she would just quickly run away. Me, of course, I would usually get caught a lot of times because I didn't know what to look for. Because these guys are very, very tricky. But they will catch me most of the time when I'm there trying to look around. By the time I try to turn around, the guy is already there and I'm caught. But you always could see people moving around when shit is about to go down. Now, this is all leading up to something that happened during one of those times. Actually, I think it's during the time when we had changed business. Now we were in the cell phone business. Jesus. I feel like I've done this business in the market for such a long time. Most of my years were spent there. Just me as a kid. I actually thought at some point that's where my life was going to end. Just me selling fruit. And I was working hard, very hard, to make sure I don't end up there. But it was a good experience, as I said. Now, there's this one time when I was sitting there, people would come, make calls, phone calls. These are days where cell phones were very scarce and telephones were a thing. Now, our telephone had a nice big battery. You had to take batteries out and you would charge them. You take other batteries and you charge the phone. And good business. And I would sell sweets, cigarettes, and all other things in there. Cigarettes, important because it's part of the story. Now, we already know my mom is a little bit of a psycho in terms of how violent she can be. Point proven. But seems like there was a day where she was about to be challenged. Well, challenged. I was doing the business and then she was out, I think, on the other side, the lady that I had a crush on. She was just having a conversation there. And I was, making phone calls. Comes this guy who's trying to buy a cigarette. But not necessarily trying to buy a cigarette. He's trying to steal the cigarette. Now, he's busy threatening me here about the things that he would do to me if I don't give him the cigarette. Of course, I was scared. I think he had a weapon, if I'm not mistaken. But he had something. Or he was just threatening me with words. I can't remember. But he's there, and then he decides to take the cigarette by force, a whole box. And I'm there, scared, crying. I'm there, crying, and then he takes this thing, and then I think it was just his unlucky day. He's trying to run away. I see my mom. I shout. I'm like, he's taking your cigarette. Bless that man's soul. I mean, I don't know if he died. I don't think he died. But the moment he's trying to walk away with my mom's cigarette, my mom just comes to my table. She grabs the battery. I mean, I can't tell you how big that battery was. You see this phone? This phone is too small for me to tell you how big the battery was. I wish I had something to show you how big the battery was. But my gosh, it was quite a big battery. It was portable, but it was big. And it's a battery. She just snatched it off by the phone, and then she just threw it. Bah! She had good aim. My mom had good aim. And it just lands at the back of this guy's head. And then down he goes. And you would think she's finished. And then she got mad. Who are you trying to steal from? And then she goes, takes the same battery, and she just bashes him. You know, when you're in the market and you have done something bad, community justice just comes at you. When they see that my mom is beating this guy up, instantly people think this guy must have done something wrong, and they come and they just trap him. And my mom is there at the forefront, bah, bah, kicking. That guy was left flat. I don't think he ever stole again. Well, I'm assuming after that beating. And my mom just comes back laughing, and then, you know, I mean, technically I was a little bit of a hero for actually saying out that this guy was the thief, but, you know, she was still a little bit mad at me for not, you know, doing something about it. To what, I don't know, but she was there. She just wiped her battery. Like a villain, just wiping the battery out of, you know, just wiping the blood, putting it back in there. Business as usual. Moral of the story, don't fuck with my mother, because she'll fuck you up. But yeah, I think I enjoyed my time in the market. Although it was one of the toughest times, you know, having not to experience being a child and working, but I saw worse things where I saw other people who were also stuck there. Basically, there was a place where I would see people growing up with me. We were like literally growing from an age to a certain age. I literally saw probably like 3 years of my life where I would see a girl who was very young, and then 3 years later and I'm still there, and that girl has grown up to be like a young lady. You know, it was an experience having to go through that, but I appreciate that experience because it taught me a lot, and it gave me a lot of stories to share and a lot of experiences. But yeah, that is my story for today. Well, not just one story, a lot of stories, but it's about the market in the PMB area, CBD. Thank you, and I appreciate you listening to my story, and hopefully you can share your story about the experiences that you've had in your life. Have a wonderful day.